This video is mostly going to be about this part of the page, but let's begin with point or location. So there's a point here for representation of the location. Here's line / magnitude. The magnitude is the path between point to point. Circle has 3 points upon itself. The plane is derived from the circle, which itself has 3 points. The sphere it has 3 points, 4 points actually, 4. But I didn't want to draw the tetrahedron, which is the simplest polyhedra that is in the third dimension, which there should be another one here that's called triplane for volume, but the plane is more of a shadow of the circle, which the plane, there's no plane without the circle, and there's no circle without the 3 points of location, which the plane is the measuring of the area derived from 2 magnitudes upon the center of this circle as a chosen origin point, which the sphere has in its nature. The circle also has a plane aspect upon a great circle, which is any circle upon the surface of the sphere, which sphere and ball distinction is that the ball is filled, but the sphere is just the surface of the sphere. The circular spherical object. It's kind of redundant, sorry. This is basic stuff, right? However, people have a problem with the circle that I've noticed. They make claims like there's a circle with no center, which it's not a circle if it doesn't have a center. It would just be a unmeasured line that is presumed to be infinite, but there's no infinites that is measurable, that is a line that we could physically or even imaginatively grasp, which the mind itself that tries to imagine an infinite line cannot even grasp that. But this isn't really about the spherical aspects, but rather the metaphysical aspect of the circle in relation to magnitude and point. So when you draw a circle, you start with the center, and there's a magnitude between those 2 points from, say, the spike of the compass to the compass pen or whatever, which by this distance itself is a line. However, there's a line that is drawn around the center with the same magnitude that derives another secondary line in a circular motion as a magnitude with the magnitude. So there's a magnitude this way and a magnitude this way. So this circle, you could say it's a second order line. So if this is first order of a line or magnitude, the circle is a second order magnitude. And get to this part, if you supposedly separated or divided this 2, and presuming the length of the circle is preserved, even if it's cut and it's bifurcated as an arc while maintaining the length of the circle, which this isn't an accurate description of it, but regardless, if you do that, you get 2 points from what is originally 1 point, which of course an arc is a part of a circle, but ignore all of that. You start off with the center circle, point, which, yeah, this is a point. I made it empty because it's not a drawn point, so to speak, but it's a point that you start drawing the arc or the circle as a point of location without drawing it. But okay, so there's that point, and then the second point from the first point with the magnitude, which I have as in parentheses 1, since it is the first point upon the circle. That in this part of the image is an arc because you try to split it, right, in order to grasp what the length is without the center being, how do I say, a problem. Or okay, so imagine a rope here, right? You got a rope here, you gotta pull it out like that. So if you unfold the circles by cutting it, in that process you get rid of this part, the center, and you get 2 points out of what is formerly 1 point upon the circle, which this magnitude is not the same as the radial magnitude of the arc, which is very important if you apply to metaphysics and other more conceptual understanding of emanationism and how things are derived, which, oops, sorry, hit the table, which if you do that, if you do cut the second point into 2 points, you instead devolve the circle as a magnitude that ignores the the first order magnitude that the second order magnitude is derived from, which is a very important point because people think that the circle is the whole, but it's really not. And even though the circle has 2 points, it also is 3 upon itself, upon the circle, in order to realize its aspect as a two-dimensional figure upon a plane. And people think that this is the center of the circle is the center of all of this, but in reality it just as most a point of location that the drawn circle is dependent upon for its circleness. And moving along, let me get to these stuff here. These are just twist ties. I changed the subject a little harsh, but whatever. And what's it called? Twist ties? Well, those bread, those bread wires that you get from supermarkets or whatever when you buy bread. Well, I cut one in half, more or less, and spun one direction in this way, and spun another one in this way, which you could combine these a certain way so that it makes a tetrahedron shape. Oops, it came off. This is pretty much my reasoning behind a certain part of my book as to why I try to convey that there's 4 points that makes a sphere, and or 4 points that is representative of a path between a circular helical path between 2 points of location upon the ether, which 4 of those in a certain formation through lasers or whatever, in a hypothetical sense, because this is all theory in theories. So trying to get it in the right way so you could see what I'm trying to, what kind of symbol I'm trying to make, but you could kind of get it when I do it like that. Can you? Yeah, you get what I'm saying. But there's 2 points. I mean, five if you consider the center of this as a inertial point that is derived from the 4 points around it as a center of mass of the structure, the 3-dimensional structure, upon 4 points that is using, let me bring this back, that is using a plane upon a sphere that is torqued so that it's kind of like that. So if you could imagine the tip of my fingers are pointing space. So there's a saddle kind of thing here and a saddle here, which I don't have what's it called, Pringles or miniature saddle looking thing, but basically what I'm trying to explain is that there's 4 points that is derived for 2 helical spins of counter rotation to each other that is not destructive, because if it is destructive it would cancel each other out, which you don't want to happen. So if it comes like that, it would cancel each other out, but you don't want that, and you want it to instead come perpendicular to each other so that it converges in a constructive manner of what is presumably destructive, so that it forms the bare minimum requirement for a inertial system that is a circular inertial system that's like a snake that is eating its own tail, or it's its own circuit that is in a spherical harmonic form that is spherical rather than planar or circular. Planar as a, the helical coils going this way or the other way, depending on the source of the emanation. That's a side note. I really wanted to make this part, but I had this around, so I just went on with the tangent, sort of. So people think that the center of the circle is better than the line, when in reality the circle has a hidden line that you don't see because it wasn't drawn. So to presume that this is better than the circle, the center of the circle being better than the circle, is to presume that there's also the hidden line that the circle depends is also better than the center. which people don't really think that far because they're usually thinking in circles, but trying to not deconstruct the circle in its more simpler nature as to where did this come from, which the point of location itself is it's an idea, really, an idea that is imprinted upon a medium, which is the ether. But what imprints that idea is the noetic mind, and that noetic mind itself is the extrinsic attribute of the absolute that emanates the noetic mind, which the noetic mind projects the ether as the psyche, and the psyche is ether, whatever. So these two are hidden when you draw the circle. And despite how the circle has 3 points in order to be known as upon a plane, only one is used to draw it as it comes into itself. But this one is also two because it comes back into itself. So there's 2 points upon each other. And yeah, I guess that's it for now. I hope you guys are having a good winter. See you guys later. Bye bye.